Pop in, say hi. If you've never come into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. And this week, I have been exploring the inside, literally exploring the inside. We're just going to give YouTube a couple minutes, let people know I've gone live, see who pops in today. Forgive me. I got little scabbies under my nose, and just before I hit that live button, I had a dangly, the skin that was starting to dry up and stuff, and every time I breathed through my nose, it was like wings or feathers in the air, and I went, oh my goodness, let's try and fix this. I think I did. I was trying not to, just in case it wasn't ready. I didn't want a bleeding nose or anything like that, right? So I'm trying to do it slowly and everything. And just before I went, hit that button, I was almost ready to give up. I got it off, but it stung a little bit. So I'm just checking at the moment to make sure that, yeah, it's healed enough. It's not bleeding or anything. Hello, Kathy. Hello, Owen. Anybody wants to come in, say hi, meet an amazing crew. Tonight might be a good night. This is Sunday night. This is my main crew who has been with me. Oh my goodness, some of them have been with me for an entire decade, and that's the truth. I don't know how I became so privileged to have that honor, but I'm certainly grateful for that. Okay, hair is ready to good. I haven't been taking care of myself in the past couple of days. To be totally honest, I just got myself out of the shower, first shower I've had in 2 days, and I said, okay, Cindy, that's time enough to be mopey. If you guys haven't heard yet, I lost my cat this week. I had to put her down, and yeah, it was hard. It was hard to let her go. I kept waiting for little miracles. I kept, you know, doing that blue light over her, and right, anything, we get desperate, sometimes, and we do things out of that desperation, just in the off chance that it might work. Didn't work. It doesn't mean that those procedures don't work. It just means it didn't work for me. I am not a healer. I am a revealer, and that is an honest truth. I don't know about those other parts of me, just like I don't know about those other parts of you guys. I when I reflect on the 10 years that some of you have been with me, it makes me wonder, like, some of you, right, have been watching over me, taking care of me, and sometimes we don't understand why we have people or animals or things that we love to do that are different than other people. And you know all I can say for myself is I follow those feelings, right? Thank you, Kathy. Hello, Owen. I was just letting everybody know, Owen. I had to put my cat down this week. I just could not let her suffer. I knew she was struggling for air, and I can't imagine, having to struggle for your breath. And she kept giving me these moments that, right, that she might get better, and I would get optimistic in that moment, just for another hour down the road, have her crying because she can't relieve herself in her cat litter box. So in reflection, I wish I could have done it sooner, right? I held on for a couple of days more than I should have. Honestly, 2 days, 2 days that I could have relieved her of that struggling, but because of my own my own need to keep her around, my not being ready to let her go, right, and it was important for me to keep her under consideration, and I just woke up Friday morning and I said, that's it. We're going to get this done. I don't know how we're going to get this done today, but we're going to get this done today. And within a few hours, but I didn't waste time. Once I made that decision, I didn't waste any time, and we got it done. Past couple of days, I've been managing. Okay, you have those moments where you just kind of lose it for a second, then you gather yourself up because the one thing about me is I don't cry over spilt milk, and this is a clear, right? This is clearly spilt milk because this is nothing I can do anything about, right? There was nothing I can do except to let go and allow myself to have that experience, whatever that experience was going to be. And I'm sure, right, most of you will be pretty close within 10 or 20 years of my age, I'm assuming, right? But maybe not. I've always been relatable to all different ages. I mean, even my husband 10 years younger than me. So age is not a thing, but in just being able to, right, have a few cats and have that opportunity now when we say to have empathy for each other. I hear people, oh, I lost my cat today. Even yesterday when I was trying to get her things together, and I stopped my neighbor in the hallway because I knew he had a cat, really pretty cat too. And I said, I've got all this amazing stuff. Like it's all amazing. And I just bought her a brand new bed. Do you want it? Right? And he says, Cindy, right? I lost my cat 6 weeks ago. I know exactly what you're going through. And today I was actually giving that some thought because I met him numerous times in the past few weeks, numerous times in the past few weeks. In the hallway, I met him in the grocery store, the elevator, and he didn't once mention the loss of his cat. And his cat is a service cat. It's for people who struggle emotionally. For myself, that's the exact same reason why I got my cat, right? Because I was struggling with my life crashing in on me, and I made that choice that I needed to bring in a cat and add on to the pressures of responsibility. But sometimes it's having those responsibilities, having those things that you've got to do that help you to stay busy, so that it was very. I'm a true believer in baby steps, and I am grieving in baby steps. And that for me, that entails just having moments, being able to go for an hour, get cleaning projects done. I did 5 loads of laundry yesterday. I got all the cat stuff put away and donated, and right. And it wasn't about erasing her, right? But it was about staying busy in the process of grieving. Lots of times that's why we go back to work, after a loved one passes away. Sometimes, right? Quite often we don't have the privilege of taking a lot of time off of work, but to take a few days just to slowly, right, come to terms with what's going on, and then right away we put that on a shelf, right, and we go right back to work, right back to the routine, try to get our lives back to as normal as we can, which brings me right to a topic that I was working on for myself today. I was working with the word change in the different aspects because this experience that I've gone through this week, and it's a common experience, for it's something everybody goes through, right? Some people are allergic to pets and stuff, but there would be something else in place of that pet, right? You would have an attachment and a routine built around something else, right? And when that wrench is thrown into your life and that aspect of your life is kind of taken out of your life, right? Unexpectedly, abruptly, painfully, quite often, you know, you can expect to be thrown into a tailspin in that, right? You need to be able to grieve how you want to grieve, and each one of us does it differently, right? Right? I don't want anybody to throw me a party, right? But I certainly don't want anybody to dance on my grave either. It's in the memory of that. But sometimes in having those memories, it gives us those flushing moments, right? And those are what I've been dealing with in the past couple of days. And, so some people say, oh, Cindy is just a cat, right? Or, oh, Cindy, or, oh, Joe, it's just a dog, or just a guinea pig, or just a parrot, or a parakeet, right? Your pet rabbit. But for some of us, that's family. That is sometimes closer than blood, and we invest in these pets, right? That as humans we domesticated to keep us company, didn't we? We domesticated the dogs. We domesticated dogs in right. We're talking about tens of thousands of years ago, the very least a million years ago. Even they found another structure, another wood structure that they think it might possibly be a house or some kind of platform. 400 years old, right? Weren't monkeys 400,000 years ago. And up until probably 50 years ago, that was how we were portrayed, right? And we are changing. And so today I really gave it some thought, and it's in these moments of trauma or getting smacked up with something we didn't expect that it gives us, and these are things we should be thinking about before these moments happen, but we get so wrapped up in our lives and in what we're doing, and sometimes we think that forever. I don't give much thought to death in any way, and I've been in it, in living vicariously, not by choice, but living vicariously through, right, my sister's experience with their heart bypass, my cat, my right. I have a few acquaintances who have been dealing with these situations, and because, right, and it might be a good thing, because 200 years ago this would be something that we commonly dealt with, because 1 in 3 children was the expectancy to get through toddlership, right? To make it in past toddlership. It was quite common that we were always dealing with this stuff. But for me, my cat was was my family. So I grieved like a family. And I'm going to probably grieve for a little while, but at the same time, right? I understand these experiences offer up opportunities for change. And this isn't really an opportunity because this is going to cause me some change. For the time being, we're not going to get another cat, right? We're going to see if we can just kind of move forward a little bit with my goals and my dreams and my ambitions. Oh, a good one today. The difference between dreams and fantasies, you guys, going off little side branches here for a second, right? Dreaming are the goals and the ambitions and the potentials and the movement, right? Whereas the fantasy, it's not present, right? It's imaginary. It's built in our mind and it's built without movement. It's built just by sitting here in our minds. And I thought that is so amazing. I really love that, right? Just the difference between dreams and fantasies. And even though it's been a kind of a crappy week, I'm moving forward. I am always moving forward, no matter what is coming into my life or what is going out of my life. And at the same time, I take it in as lessons. Oh my goodness, did I get some reflections and some people in my life? And that's 100% the truth there. But to actually have this opportunity today, change. What's the change I want to bring into my life? Right? Right? There's got to be some good that comes out of that, right? I don't have to clean a stinky litter box anymore. I wasn't a big fan of cleaning litter boxes, and that's part of the reason why my cat ate dry food and not wet food, right? Those cat litter boxes, and living in a small apartment, right? And her being a big cat, she actually needed a dog litter box, believe it or not. I had to get her a dog litter box because she was so big and kicked cat litter everywhere. She still did it, right? But I have to, in my cleaning projects and pulling stuff out, and sweeping out cat litter and hairballs and stuff. It gives me an opportunity to maybe free up a little bit of time, right? Because my cat, she deserved a lot of attention, right? Because she was taking care of me. It was my responsibility to take care of her too. Not just responsibility, I wanted to, right? I needed to. So we took good care of each other, but it felt good to get the place cleaned up, smelling good at the very least. So in moving forward in the change that I want to be bringing into my life, what do I want to do? What do I want to plan? I want I want the money flowing into my household now because I have goals and dreams and ambitions, right? And we live in a world where things are manifested, and that energy is money. So Cindy wants an RV. We're talking. I wasn't talking. Did you guys hear year? And this is all I've been thinking about almost every day. I go in and I watch these, I guess they're RV shows, and guys go in with their cameras and they give tours of the RVs. So I've been looking at RVs. I've been looking at different RVs and looking at the type of RV that I would like to have. I wasn't doing that last year. Maybe a little bit here and there when I'm bored, but right lately I'm doing that all the time. And those things are not cheap, and you can't really buy an old one because you guys know me well enough. Once I'm on the road, I'm on the road. I'm not, right? I'm staying on the road. And that's the kind of life that I would like to see myself have when I'm retired, that I can continue with my YouTube and take you camping and metal detecting and bottle digging and crystal hunting. We could go and take the RV down to Arizona and Arkansas, and we could go to we can go to North. Never been to the southern part of the East Coast down that ways. Um, and it's funny because I've done all of North America pretty much. Northwest Territories. I probably did Northwest Territories when I was a kid with my dad, because my dad was a big road trip person. We went lots of places that I didn't really pay attention to unless there were big landmarks like the Grand Canyon and right that big Cincinnati hoop things, certain things, Mount Shasta. There are things that I do remember from these road trips, but it's a life that's kind of calling for me in my retirement. And if I play my cards properly, maybe it's an opportunity to take my brand on the road permanently. That would be pretty cool. But things have to be set up. I have to be prepared, and I have to put a little bit of a fund together to do that. So yeah, we're going to get some ink for my printer, and we're going to fax off some resumes. We're going to see, right? I thought I was getting early retirement. That's what I was calling it, early retirement. I didn't want to go back and find myself in a situation again where, right? I like practicing my craft, but I like to know what I'm stepping into at the same time. So I'm thinking maybe I'll go for those fun positions, even though I know in those fun positions I'll be working with a lot of people that have struggles and stuff. But that's okay because, again, I can practice my craft, right? If I went back to bartending or waitressing, I don't know if I want to do restaurant or I want to do bar, but I'd only have to do it for another year or so, and then my pension kicks in, and hopefully by then, right, we will have uh, finagled some kind of solution for getting me on the road permanently, right, and move my brand, still exploring the inside and the outside, right, but in those seasons of back and forth in that support in my brand. I'm so grateful for the mindset. I'm so grateful, to have my Sunday night live show and my chatters live because, just going off on in September on my park tours is not enough content to run a YouTube channel, right? And it's not necessarily content for my brand, but it is an opportunity to practice my craft, isn't it? So I come in, and I am so grateful that you guys come in and hang out with me while I do that. And I just want to talk a little bit, that you guys know I'm doing okay. I did think this afternoon that I could probably, out of respect for my cat, to take tonight off, but I came in Friday night, and I managed okay on Friday. So I thought, I'm probably okay. Just, and I'm not going to just say Cindy, it's just a cat. No, it wasn't. It was my meatball, right? Yeah, she was a good cat. But yeah, I'm paying her homage, right? I'm grieving properly, and I'm just grieving in little bits and pieces because it's hard to do it in one great big chunk. Sometimes doing it in one great big chunk is detrimentally painful. Sometimes so painful that you have a hard time coming out of it, right? It's kind of the feeling I got when my father passed away. That was a hard one, right? That was a hard one to come out of. But you don't have a choice, right? Right? You have to move forward. There is no giving up, right? There's never any giving up. You just slow it to nothing. Slow it to nothing. That's what I did today. It was really funny though because she had a heart attack, by the way. That's what it was. It was a heart attack that she did have. So there really wasn't much chance of recovery in that, and I was just prolonging the struggle, right? The suffering. So I'm like he said it was a good choice that she did have to go down, right? Let me have a sip of my coffee. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I was working on this word, change, because change is coming up, and so maybe this week coming up I can have a good little plan in place, a good idea of where I'm going to start, right? Where I'm going to start. Put my life back together again. It won't be like the first time, won't be the last time, right? It won't be for a while at the very least. I've never had my own dog. I've never been a dog person. If I did hit the road, it seems reasonable probably that I would get a dog as a companion if I'm on. Then I wouldn't have to worry about housing because I live in my housing, right? So I would never have to worry to be without a home. That was a big thing, making sure, right? You're responsible. You take on a pet. That's your child. That's your family, and that's your responsibility, right? To take care of that. I mean, oh my goodness, my cat got me through such difficult times. And I sympathize, and I'm going to sympathize even more when people tell me that that they've lost their pet. I lose sight of that feeling, and I'm not going to say I needed to be reminded. I certainly did not need that, but in the end, right, the lessons come at you the way they come at you, and you just work with what you have. And it was a reminder, right, that sometimes we do take things for granted. Take things for granted, and sometimes these are just reminders to really appreciate what's important. And you hear that all the time, but until you experience that lost opportunity, right, you have you have no idea, right? I Those couple of days extra, we me and her, we got through them. And she wasn't struggling after the first day. She wasn't struggling as much as she was that very first day, right? She could hardly get any air in the first day, but the next couple of days it seemed she was able to get the air into her a little bit better, and she was breathing through her nose and stuff like that. But we can beat ourselves up, right? And thinking that we didn't do enough, or we should have been on it a little bit faster. And when I hear about people, right, doing that crappy talk to themselves, I paid attention to that. I noticed that you know, it wasn't fair in what I was saying to myself, because when you don't get all the answers, you fill in the blank spots, don't you? And that's exactly what I did. Okay, let me come into the comments. I haven't come into the comments yet. Let me see who's all here. Kathy made it in first tonight. Oh my goodness. Awesome. Hi, Owen and Andrew. Oh my goodness. Did I see William's name here? Did William pop in? Uh, my cat went outside one day last year and just never returned. I still have a hard time looking at her picture. Oh my goodness. See, Kathy? Right? Right? These are our family. Um I have a lady one block ahead of me here, and every time I walk to the grocery store, her cat would come off the balcony and rub around my legs and stuff. But I would be sitting here at night working on the computer, and I would see her cat coming from like a half a block away, cut across the back alley, and run across this street in front of me. And I live on a main drag, and I haven't seen that cat in about 4 months. But 4 months ago, there was a flat spot on the road in front of me. And so when I see that lady, I wonder, should I ask her about her cat, because I haven't seen her cat. And I know her cat was doing that every night. We have rabbits behind in our back lane, and I'm sure it was coming across that busy road to come and get rabbits, right? And I'm sure the owner didn't know what this cat was doing. And yeah, but I never did. I never mentioned it. uh, but she probably be thinking the same thing, that her cat ran away, right? Her cat ran away. Birds sometimes pick up the cats too, right? Right, because cats are so tiny. They're easy for a big bird to come in and just swoop up and grab the cats. Yeah, for myself, you know, they've they've just gone sick. And I've been able to manage to keep some of my cats to their 20s, right? My cat before my last one, before this one died, she was 21 years old. So she was an old cat for sure. Did you get another cat to replace her, Kathy? Did you bring in another cat, or did you decide to just take a break from cats for a while? That's nice to know. You seem to be, Kathy, as a cat person too. I don't like to say that word, cat lady, right? But that's our company. For some of us, that is everything, right? And I think it's pretty amazing that we can hold on to our sensitivities, because it really takes sensitivity to take on an animal as a pet, not as a workhorse, right? Food, but actually as a companion, something to keep us company. That is uh, um, an extension of our emotions, right? Staying connected to other beings, right? Sometimes we even have hard times connecting with other human beings. And if you can find a way, adapt and conquer, staying soft. Oh my goodness, I got a lesson in softness this week. I was a jumbling mess you couldn't understand. My sister was trying to explain what's going on with my sister. She just yelling at me on the phone because she couldn't understand, because I'm just so right. I'm trying to resolve issues by myself, and sometimes there's just things that you can't resolve, right? That you just don't have the emotional, mental, or the physical capability. of taking care of. But yeah, that would be sad, especially if it happened like in the wintertime at like 40 below zero, because for the worst part of me is the suffering that I didn't want my cat to suffer. I would take the beating, but I couldn't allow my cat to take that beating, and then to feel bad that I let her struggle for 2 days in the, what did I call it? Cautiously optimistic. Oh goodness. I should have taken her to the hospital right away, but in that time she got all her favorite foods. She got lots of hugs and kisses and I love yous and lots of thank yous, and yeah. But we all know what that feeling is. And that's the opportunity, because you're going through change anyway. The change has been forced on me because my apartment's a totally different feeling towards my apartment. My sense of responsibility has kind of crashed to almost minimal now once I've got the cat stuff all cleaned up, and that's going to take me all week. There's so much dander, and I still haven't done my bedding yet, but I'll do my bedding in the next couple of days. I just had too many loads. I think I did 4 or 5 loads of laundry yesterday. I did a lot of laundry because I was taking care of my cat and my other issues. Cindy's always got issues, but I'm always working on them. I'm always trying to resolve them. Even in my list today, I said I had 3 things that I needed to do. I needed to list 3 items, and I wanted to have a shower and come alive again, get dressed in some fresh clothes and do my hair. So I took care of myself today, and I even went outside for a little bit. And oh my goodness, it's so cold. We hit the minuses. What's the temperature outside right now? It's -2 Celsius outside right now. So it's pretty darn cold already. It normally, it starts to kind of rain snow, but usually the big snow doesn't come until about the second week of December. And we are not even in the second week. Well, we're in the second week now, the second week of November. So we're about a month early in this cold. And I'm okay. However, the weather wants to, right? It's the one thing we don't have any control over anyway. So why are we, or why would I want to dictate how the weather is going to be? I have to adjust to whatever the weather is going to be. The weather is not going to adjust to me in any way. But last couple of years, we had such beautiful, mild winters. Uh, Global warming, right? Global warming, and but because we swing the two extremes, the really cold winters and the really hot summers, I think we'll become more moderate, right? I think we'll become more moderate. We'll have warmer winters, maybe a little bit cooler summers, right? And it's interesting. I noticed the mosquitoes are down. We don't have as many mosquitoes as we have in, say, the past half a dozen years, but for the norm, I think the changes in the weather right now are just going to be noticeable in the parts of the world that normally have those extremes. Like the very hot countries, they'll find cooler weather, milder weather. And then in the countries that are really really cool, right? That they'll be warmer. They'll be warmer. I mean, we were tropical sea at one point where I'm living right now, right? We were bottom of a great sea. And so change, even in the world, is constant, right? Change is just everywhere, and it's so constant, but we've become accustomed to having a life that is predictable, that is in, right? Even for myself, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I got to get out of my office chair. I need a new hobby. I need a winter hobby that gets me out of the house. And I'm thinking, okay, every night, certain time, I'll set a time to say, this is when I'm going for my walk. But what if I get a job? And then I keep throwing these what ifs. And then the next thing I know, I've kicked out all these ideas and I still don't have a new project that I want to put myself into for winter, just to stay busy, just to keep moving forward, not just to keep moving, but to move forward. So it has to be something that I love, something that it will benefit me, something that's going to shoot me on my goal list. And I do have my goal list sitting here, you guys. I've set my goals, and I didn't set them really high. I didn't set big difficult ones because I didn't know how much reasonably I can manage to get done this year, especially in the situation that I'm in right now. But that situation could change in an hour, right? It's just a matter of getting on it. And what do I want to do? And this is what this week is going to be about until I start putting some of those on a shelf, right? And get back to get back to work. So what I did is, because I don't know what things could change drastically in, like I said, a day, an hour, a week, a half a year. So I just put all my goal things on there, and then I'm just going to check them off, right, as they're accomplished. And if I get some of those ones on the bottom, like the SUV and the RV, right, the new camera, hire an editor, right, I would still be happy for the few things that I did put on my list if I could get those things accomplished, right? And that's why you have them varied in importance and varied in cost, because lots of things that you want to accomplish cost, right? So have them varying in cost, because just being able to cross something off the list, even if it was $10, you look at your list and you've already seen a highlight over it that's going to make you feel good. It's going to give you a little bit of energy to maybe, right, check something else off of that list. I haven't checked anything off of my list yet. My list has just been completed. How I go about these things, I don't know. I do know I need a new desktop, so I'll be working on my desktop. I know I need a new tent for September, so I'm keeping an eye on getting a good tent and see if I can get myself a good deal, because I'm looking far ahead, and I invest in something during weekend or during winter. That's only going to cost me probably be about half of what it would cost me if I were to buy it during the season, right? It might even make it to the Christmas list when my sister asks for my Christmas list, and I add a few things that are again varying in pricing, right? And let her choose on that, and put the tent on the Christmas list. And wouldn't that be amazing? She got my camp stove last year, and I just loved my camp stove. It was the camp stove and the car were the only things on that entire trip that did not let me down. Lots of things didn't let the trip didn't let me down in general. It just seemed like there were lots of trip ups and wrenches and things thrown into the trip. It just left me, and I was editing the video, I could just see, right? I could just sense, and I could just, when I looked at myself, when I do those, turn the cameras around and stuff, and I go, oh my goodness, Cindy, you're so exhausted, right? I could see how exhausted I was, but I didn't feel that way. I didn't. I only felt. I only felt it through watching myself on video and listening to myself yibber yabber, right, in the videos, that I could just like, oh my goodness, Cindy, you're just totally bagged. And I just kept going, right? And I didn't notice in the least, in the moment that I was having a blast, right? So I've got to be careful about that too, how I expend my energy, that I'm going for these long walks, because when I go for walks, they're pretty long walks that, I'm feeling myself out physically when I'm on the walks. I do everything in baby steps. I go slow. I'm always meandering. When I go for a walk, I am meandering. I am not one of these. I'm going for a walk. And I don't walk like this. I'm walking, staring at houses, the grass, and I'm stopping and talking to squirrels, and it's right. It's like it's almost like an after dinner walk. It was very popular in the 70s. We always went for after dinner walks, right? But it's just slow and just taking everything in. And that's so good for the body. So good, right? You might not be burning a ton of calories, but you're still burning calories, but you're making yourself feel like you're sticking to a routine. You're getting your mother nature in, you're getting some fresh air, you're clearing your brain, because lots of times we are just overstuffed with thoughts in there, that being outside gives us an opportunity to take our mind off of whatever is going on in the moment. And we always got stuff going on, and then just take ourselves away. Like I said, I'm talking to squirrels and tree hugging and talking to myself and looking at patio furniture and houses with beautiful wraparound decks and gardens, and whoo, right? And then I feel so much better. And in that time that I'm out there, because I'm just kind of taking everything in, sometimes I have experiences. I bump into people. I have lucky chances. I come up with ideas. I resolve issues within myself, and those are just kind of little, I think, thank you gifts, right? For coming out to the world and visiting, right? You don't want to stick in your house all day long. Nobody wants to do that. I know some people don't have a choice, and in the moment they find themselves in a situation where they find that they're trapped by their circumstances, but I can't stress enough how important it is to be a part, physically a part of the world, right? And I'm so grateful that I explore the inside and the outside, that I have the opportunity to do both, right? But maybe in having that opportunity, maybe I could direct it a little bit better, where maybe we can explore more of the outside. We're still going to explore the inside because, this is what I do, right? But to be able to explore more of the outside because of the way that it makes me feel, I think it could only add to what I could bring to the table, because that's the price, that exhaustion that I get, that totally wiped out, you're done, Cindy kind of situation that I don't feel in the moment, because I feel I'm pumped, I'm rocking it, I'm thinking. And I look back and I'm going, oh my goodness, you look like on death's door, right? And and but that's the price, right? There's a cost to all those amazing gifts from those experiences that we have and the things that we love. And if that was the cost, then that was the cost. It wasn't anything that I was totally against uh, coughing up in payment, not in any way. It wasn't asking anything that I wasn't willing to give in the experience that I was gonna have. Okay, let's come into the comments again. Oh, see, yeah, Owen, right? And then the way we talk to ourselves. That's a good point that you say there about what happened with your cat, and that you went out. I had an appointment too this week, and I left the house for over an hour. I came home as fast as I could, but I felt so terrible about it. And there's nothing we can do about that, right? That's the crying over the spilt milk. There's nothing that you can do about it, but we beat ourselves up because these are our pets, these are our family, this is the what we signed up for, and the responsibility to another being, whether it's a human being or an animal. But yeah, Owen, don't ever, ever, ever feel bad about not being with somebody in their last moments, because they say that a good 80% of us, right, are alone in our last moments. 80% of it. And I would hate to think that you would beat yourself up and feel guilty if somebody, close to you passed away and you didn't get a good opportunity to spend some quality time, right? To properly say goodbye. That's what being alive is for, right? To get these words out, right? These, and they're important words too. Even today, when my sister, me and my sisters, they came to get me and my cat, because I couldn't walk her. It would have been too traumatizing to walk down a busy drag for a good, it would have taken me about a half an hour to walk her down this. She would have been absolutely terrified with all the cars walking by. There's no other route in that, right? So it was absolutely amazing that my sisters jumped in, but it gave me an opportunity to really show my sisters, how much I do appreciate that they hold me up in those hard times, and I hold them up too. Today I got a big package of bacon because my sister likes my corn chowder. So I'm going to make her a big pot of corn chowder just to say thank you for coming to get me. I make an amazing corn chowder. It's probably my best. Well, I make an awesome beef barley and an awesome pea soup too. But yeah, nobody can beat my corn chowder. It was my mother's recipe, right? And and it's my sister's favorite soup. So I think I'm going to make her a big pot of soup, take that down to her house and just as a little offering token to say thank you so much, right? For being there when I need you. Um I'm just reading some of the comments, you guys. Aww. I really couldn't come in tonight without letting you guys know what was going on uh, with my cat and stuff. So I didn't mean to trigger everybody in the memories of their own pets, but it's just in my genuineness of keeping my friends updated in what's going on. And of course, I'm going to come in. You guys are going to know that the energy is not the same, right? So it's not like I could keep anything away from you guys anyway. And something that important, I wouldn't, right? But I didn't mean to trigger everybody. That was not my intent. Uh oh, William is here. Hello, William. I thought I saw your name somewheres. Andrew says, when I could, I would go on long walks and just enjoy seeing the world around me. I actually did do after dinner walks. I can't do it now, but I'm glad I did it so much walking when I could. Do you do videos, Andrew? Can you do vicariously through other people's adventures? In the past couple of days, because I haven't been going out. I walked home from the veterinarian, the emergency hospital for my cat. I did walk home, but I haven't really been taking mother nature in because I have been so in my head about everything, right? That it made it so that I live vicariously through somebody else's experience in the outdoors. So I have, they call them bothies. Have you ever heard of them? Anybody out there ever heard of those? They're Scottish. They're Scottish houses from when they ejected the Scottish out of their homes, and they cleared the land of all the settlers. Bethies, I think they call them. Um, so I've been watching these videos of people who have been doing walks. So they hike. This is kind of like camping, I guess. But what they do is they walk, and every once in a while in the mountains of Scotland and stuff, there'll be one of these old stone houses that they fix up, like as hostels for travelers, and you can go in there with your sleeping bag, and you can sleep in there. Some of them I've got like histories of being haunted houses and stuff because they are really old houses, but they're all dressed up. They all have a wood stove. Some people, they leave food in the cupboards. They have beautiful landscapes in the mountains with the lakes. Um, um, and I've been doing that for about a week now. I didn't even know that they had these what do they call them? Bothies. I didn't even know that they had these places because I thought, when you go to Europe, where do you go camping, right? Right? Like, where do you go to pitch your tent and go camping? I know they had these trails that the Romans used, right? And they go through people's farmland and stuff, so you can go for long hikes. Like, you can go for a hike for like 2 weeks, and you just pass through gates on people's land when you have to pass on people's lands. And these are ancient roads, right? I thought, oh, well, that would be pretty cool to do. Bothies, that's what they're called. Bothies, Bothys, Bothies. And they're just old houses that, because they were stone houses, they never fell down. So the government, I guess, just keeps them updated, and you can stay in them, right? And they'll hold like 4 to 8 people in these little houses. And so I've been watching a couple of creators who only film their walks to these bothies, right? And they'll spend the night, start a fire. Maybe they'll go fishing in the lake and try and catch a fish. Sometimes well, usually they don't go for hikes because they have to hike to get to the house, because these houses are left in specific spots out in the countryside. Otherwise, you would have the teenage kids and stuff like that from the cities using them as party places on the weekends. They're specifically left out there for people who want to do hikes. And so now I'm thinking, oh my goodness, because, as I was growing up as a teenager, I wanted to do Scotland. I had a big map of Scotland on my wall, and I had those like colorful pins, and I put them all over the map to all the places that I wanted to visit. I thought I was a historian in Egypt, and I can't even remember half the stuff that I learned in that process of being a little bit of a fanatic about Scotland. But I was all through my teenage years. It was my dream to leave high school and then go travel Scotland for a couple of months. And then a few years ago, too, in that situation where I thought I was going to end up homeless, I thought, oh my goodness, it'd be pretty amazing if I could go to Scotland. I would love to go to Scotland and then do those trails, and those Roman trails, and see the castles. And I always had this dream to sit on Loch Ness and to sing to Loch Ness monster, and I would do that, right? And I thought, well, maybe this is me fulfilling a dream that, because I wanted to go traveling in Scotland, that I get to, in this moment, live vicariously through somebody else's experience, and I get something out of that, right? It's not as much as my tree hugging and sitting on a bench staring at the river going by. Okay, maybe it's not as much, but it's something. It's something to keep me reminded about how important Mother Nature is. So sometimes, right, we can just resort to other people's experiences. I have no problem living vicariously through other people's experiences. There are so many interesting people. There's another one. Maybe Kathy might know this gentleman. I think his channel's called Doobie and Gooby, or Gooby and Doobie, and he's an Asian gentleman, and he likes to go off on these treks in the mountains, and sometimes he goes off with his dogs, and he thinks deep, and he expresses himself in his videos on these really important, I think they're important topics, and they're always being talked about, these topics, but sometimes it's the person who is presenting the conversation, and some people might not get him. Look him up. Let me see if I can find him here. I'm trying to remember what his. I know, Kathy, you for sure would absolutely love him. Um, uh, there he is. Gooby and Doobie. Gooby and Doobie. Kathy, look him up and let me know what you think of some of his conversations. They're pretty heavy, but he does his conversations in beautiful landscapes, and he doesn't present himself as an expert, but as somebody who's having an experience himself. And I don't know if he's doing it the same way I'm doing. I sit here and I have these conversations. I wish I could be out on the road and be sitting on a hillside and having these conversations in the moment. That's not the case, but I don't cry over that. But I live vicariously, right, through somebody else's experience. And he inspires me that I can get, right. He's got like 40,000. Oh no, he's got over 1 million subscribers. I think he's got over 1 million subscribers. He gets a lot of views. He gets a lot of views on his channel. But he's just asking questions. He's asking questions to the universe and to his audience. He contemplates and he works through things in the moment, like when he's having a conversation with his followers, and all of a sudden a topic comes to his mind and he'll just get into it right there. And I do that all the time, right? An idea comes to my mind and I just get right into it and I start working through it all the time, especially when I'm in conversations with people and stuff, that I'll find that well, you guys see this here when I do this here, when I'm trailing off on the side branches. That's kind of the same. That's kind of the same thing, right? I'm just testing out waters and I'm expanding in the topics, and that's what he's doing too. And let me know. I'm going to ask you what you think of him. Maybe you won't like him, but I remember that you liked a couple of the people that I did suggest. And when I'm on Instagram and stuff, Kathy, sometimes a couple of the creators that you appreciate come across my feed, right? Because then I see underneath it says liked by your hashtag, and I go, oh my goodness, Kathy likes some of the same stuff as I do. Mm, my coffee is so good. Yeah. So Doobie Gooby, I watch his. It's really kind of heavy, and he's not an optimist. Right. Um, maybe I'm not. That's not fair to say that he's not optimist. That's what I get. That he is not an optimist. He's looking more at the glass half empty rather than the glass half full. But half the world lives that way, right? And that is not wrong, and it's not right. It's neither good or bad. It's just a way of being, right? And in any moment, that emotion could change, especially with him with those beautiful landscapes that he's in. He'd be sitting on a lakeside and a fish could jump out of the water and he would just be in his He's the type of person who would just have that moment of right, of joy and happiness out of that experience. So it's, I have to say, it's unfair to me to say that he is more on the negative than he is on the positive, right? Maybe it's the lack of answers that he gets to the questions that he asks. I don't know. A little bit different for me. If I was in that, I would just be so happy. It didn't matter what heavy was going on in my life. I would just be so excited. I'd be like a little kid in a candy store for sure. Yeah, but let me know. Uh, and you can pick many. He's got so many topics that he talks about, and he goes. He posts constant, like couple of times a week at the very least. So sometimes it gets a little bit heavy. Sometimes I can manage maybe one a week or one every couple of weeks, because sometimes, because I do baby steps, can't be um overwhelmed by one insight, right? If that insight is going to be like a medicine ball that hits me in the side of the head, that hits me on the side of the head. I'm a big believer in baby steps. There is no rush, right? We live in a world where it's just rush, rush, rush. You're behind. You're not working hard enough. You're not doing fast enough. And yes, we live in a digital age that requires us to learn things that we don't know, right? But learning those things that we don't know will allow us to ease up on the things that we don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know how to use a remote control. Now you can turn the TV on without getting up off the couch, right? That kind of idea. You learn process in the moment, and then it relieves a big aspect. It's like the cars that drive themselves, right? You learn how to pay for it, book it. You get that done. The car shows up, and you don't have to do anything else. Car takes care of it. Car takes care of itself. But we have to allow ourselves in to the age of AI learning. We have to, because that's the way the world is going. And, every generation has that old fogey kind of idea. That's what they did in the old days, right? That's what they did in the old days. Remember, they didn't even have cars or street lamps, right? So it's that idea in the moment, but until, right, everything that we can learn now, it can only help us when we're, right, not so inclined to get that work done, right? It's like what Andrew said, that he wished that he spent more time out there going for walks and stuff like that, because, now he's got issues with his legs and he's not able to get out there the way he used to, or the way he would like to now, right? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I love the evening walks. I love the evening walks. They're coming back now. Um because now I have a specific timing when I'm showing up for my live show. So now I can book around that, instead of staying home and say, "Oh, I'm going to do my live show at 4 o'clock," and then you procrastinate. It's 5 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock. Next thing you know, it's 5 minutes to midnight, and you're just tired and want to go to bed and go, "Oh, okay, Cindy, go do your live," and then you've wasted your whole day expecting that you were going to go live, or right, that you were going to post, and right, you just procrastinated the whole day, gone, and didn't get anything. Oh, I never go to bed. That's one thing I've learned, right? To accomplish a little bit. If I'm going to do baby steps, That's perfectly fine. I am 100% good with that, but there has to be that movement, right? It has to be something accomplished in that. Yeah. Okay. Andrew says, when I could, I would go on long walks and I would just enjoy seeing the world around me. I actually did do after dinner walks. I can't do it now, but I'm glad I did so much walking when I could. Yeah, right. I hope that eases up. Is there an opportunity, Andrew, at all that could be alleviated in any way that maybe you can get some mobility back because you're still so young, Andrew, right? Is there are you checking into possibilities in innovation that there might be a solution to maybe give you a little bit of ease, right? That would be absolutely amazing. Um, Andrew says, my mother and brother in intervals when no one else was around. I think sometimes people need that space and privacy for their departure. I would actually prefer to be alone when I leave. Yeah, this week I noticed my cat went into the bathroom. The only time my cat ever went into the bathroom was when my apartment was too hot because it's fairly cool in the bathroom because there's no heating or ventilation or something. I don't know, but the cat liked it in there, but she hadn't been in there in like a year. So this week when she walked in there, I knew. I just knew, right? She was just looking for somewheres where she could be alone by herself, right? But we did enjoy our company our last few days together. There were lots of special moments this week and everything. So you know I'll be good. I'm good. I think I'm good now. I when it comes to death, there has always been that moving, right? Let's just get past this. And then I just let the pain intravenously just kind of drip into me, right? The baby steps. And it's not I'm having breakdown moments or anything like that, but it's kind of waves, right? Go for a few hours and right, like tonight after my live show, I'll be all proud of myself. I'll give myself a little pat on the shoulder, and then I'll have a little cry, make myself a cup of coffee, and then I'll be good. And then when I crawl into bed, right, because usually the cat followed me, I have a little cry, and then within 5 minutes, because I'm a good sleeper, right, I'll go to bed. I'll be exhausted, and I'll be out right away. I get up in the morning, I'll have a little cry, and start my day. That's the healing process. That's the healing process. And I have to say, for myself that I heal pretty fast in that. But I also have to appreciate that when somebody else lets me know of their experience in someone or something passing, right? Their pets passing or somebody in their family passing, that I'm actually feeling that for them too, because I had that experience myself, that reminder that I so needed. It's been decades since I've had to go through an experience like that, right? Experiencing, I would have to say 2 decades now when my mother passed away. And that relationship with my mother was not that close, but that was an experience. Oh my goodness, that was an experience that brought about unmanageable change. It brought about change, right? But that was change that I had to feel out. So I'm kind of grateful now that I kind of get the heads up and through that process, right? That I was able to manage okay, right? So, I'm not looking forward to anyone or anything else that's close in my life to passing away in any way. But, to know that tools that as difficult as it would be, it wouldn't be unmanageable, and it wouldn't be something that I wouldn't be able to recover from. And I would hope that would be the same way with my sisters or my audience if something were to happen to me, right? And I have to understand I'm not 20 anymore. I am grateful for my good health. So grateful for my good health, right? But but that could change in any moment, also in any choice that I make that sets me on a path that's not good for me, right? So I'm just going to use a little bit of discernment, go slowly, do things in baby steps, and just see where it takes it. If I can manage okay, right, and I'm managing okay, then we just carry on. We just keep moving forward, right? And staying soft in the process. Okay. Andrew says, Cindy, I'm not triggered at all. We're talking about things that should be talked about, and it's good that they're talked about. 100%, Andrew. And this is the problem that we're having socially these days, because we're so isolated in ourselves. We don't want to look weak. We don't want to represent ourselves as being anything except perfect, that we are under complete control of any situations. And people aren't blind, right? People are polite is what they are. They're not saying anything, they just don't know what to say because you're not saying anything, right? And so they don't know if they bring something up, if it's going to hurt you or bother you in any way. So people have these polite ways of just staying out of your business. And when we don't have an opportunity to talk about these things, right, it actually, I don't like to say this word, but it cripples us, right? I This is something that I want to help on. I'm just recognizing now that there actually are organizations who work in this. I didn't know these are organizations that I didn't even know that were in existence in any way. But there are organizations out there that are trying to look for solutions as to where we are getting things wrong and where we can do better by ourselves and do better by our neighbors, right? Being in social media, right? Having that opportunity to share insights is absolutely amazing, right? Because there could be a little bit of tidbit. Oh, Andrew is a prime example, right? Like so many, I go on in these ramblings about topics and something. Then I go, oh my goodness, and then this, and I go, oh, what was his name again? And then right away, Andrew comes up with those answers, right? And it's those contributions that are so important, right? In socially being able to connect with another human being, right? In just even in the smallest of ways. It's so important. I love social anthropology. And it's funny, up until a half a dozen years ago, I didn't even know that there was a topic on social anthropology, right? I would never. You said, "Oh, Cindy, you would have been the greatest social anthropologist of all time." I'd be like, "What's that?" Right? And yet, it's what I loved most in my interest in the human workings of emotions and actions and culture and movement and evolution. It's absolutely fascinating. And for me, it's just like so clear that, a lot of the problems that we're having right now is the fact that we're not communicating with each other. We're not socially connecting with each other. And it's causing problems right across the board, right? But I'm having this really amazing insight today. I was actually thinking about it that, you know, maybe we've never made it this far before. And this is the first time that we made it to the point where AI learning, right, can pick up the line and help pull us through, right? That we weren't able to make it to this point on our own up until this time, right? And that we were meant to get to this point and we got to this point, and now it's a matter of what are we going to create from here, right? We have a better chance at resolving a lot of the issues that we socially have that might make it so that it'd be difficult for our species to keep going, right? Right? God, right? Whoever, whatever wants us to keep moving forward. And so I'm just going to keep moving. I'm just going to keep moving forward, whether I know what's coming my way or not, right? Just pay attention where I can and just work with the wrenches and the hiccups and the heartbreaks as they come across my path, and just hope I meet some nice people along the way. And I think I've done a pretty good job at it so far. Okay, let me come into these comments. Hey, let me have a sip of my coffee. I need something cold now. I drank it all. I need some more juice. Hmm. Okay. Andrew says, I'm not triggered at all. We're talking about things that should be talked about. And it's good that we're talking about them. Yeah, 100%. I'm glad you feel that way, Andrew. We should be talking about these stuff because these are topics that are quite resolvable. A lot of people, they can pulse their everyday, day to day, all day, and they worry and stress about these things. But if you can talk them out and work them through your system and work them through somebody else's system and get somebody else's feedback and these ideas, quite often we can resolve things on our own. I was what was the topic I was thinking about today? And I was saying, I find it pretty amazing that I'm 64 years old and I don't compulse about life and death. Like this week was an experience with death, and it was not fun. It was heartbreaking and stuff. And I felt that that was a lesson that I did need in remembrance of my emotions, to just to remind me that I am only human, and again to recognize what's important in my life, and to pay attention to how I talk to myself, right? That that every time said, Cindy, you could have done better. You could have been faster. You could have been kinder. You could have picked that up sooner than you did. And just like all day, right? And then at the same time, just come right back. I did the best that I could, right? In the moment that I was in, I did the best that I could, and that's good enough. It is. It's good enough. It's got to be good enough. And there's no crying over spilt milk. It's over and done with, but it might not have been over and done with. For my own need not to let go, I might have let her suffer for a couple of more days, right? And so I'm glad I did things as fast as I could, right? Right? I'm still talking to myself saying I could have done that sooner, but I let go as soon as I could let go. Okay, you guys, let's just come down here really quickly and we're going to call it a night. Uh, it's odd that walking is so painful for me and I can do so little of it, but I am out on my bike a lot and there's a lot to see. Even in your bike riding, Andrew, it's still painful, even in your bike riding or just in your walking. Is it less painful on the bike? Uh, oh, good, Owen. This is good. Oh, thank you. Yes, we are 100%. You're going toy hunting, William. You're going to get some Masters of the Universe. uh, oh, you are Masters of the Universe. I knew I had that one right. Um, oh yeah, the walking commuter. I had the walk with me, Cindy Jean, but I also got the idea a few weeks ago that I might walk and have conversations with maybe some of the tenants that live in this building. I've known some of these people in this building for decades. I've lived in this neighborhood for decades. And being a waitress and a bartender in one of the neighborhood bars that I am right. People know who I am, and I am grateful that I've made some acquaintances. It's nice to be able to walk down a sidewalk and stop and talk about the weather for a couple of minutes, right? Make somebody else feel like they matter, or reminisce about a funny moment in the past, right? The things we used to do. Oh my goodness, things we used to do. um, Andrew might like him too. Yeah, Gooby and Dooby. I might watch one of his videos tonight. I am in one of those moods. He right, when you're in one of those moods, he's a good one to listen to because he asks good questions. He asks good questions. My neighbors years ago had a dog in a bad way. Then the family couldn't find him. I think the dog went into the nearby woods where he passed in a peaceful, natural setting. Yeah, animals, they like to go off and find places on their own, right? They do. They don't like to be around people when they're passing. I think animals know when it's close for them. Okay, you guys, that's it for tonight. I'll be back tomorrow for What's My Good Cheer. And if you want to come back and hang out with me during the week, I'll be here at 9 o'clock each night. If not, I'll be back on Sunday. Kathy, let me know what you think of that gentleman. Watch one or two of his videos and let me know what you think of him. He's quite interesting and he's really nice to hang out with, right? He has a good camera too. He gets really nice landscapes. Okay, and very great insights. Okay, you guys, have a great night, and we'll see you next week.